dias, Gunners Collective TV. Back at it, you already know. Like a motherfucking smack addict. Bye up, bye up. And in Menudo style in a direct fashion, we're going to get straight into the content of the day. But before we do, let's hit that like and subscribe button thing. Put your notification bell on also. That way you're directing the direction of the dope content that the gun is kicking. I appreciate all the support. I'm very humbled by it. So first and foremost, I want to say rest in peace to Milo, right? From West Side Boys in the west side of Modesto. Now, man, I got a lot of homeboys from Motown, right? Modesto. And quietly as it's kept, it's no secret, man. It's no secret, man. We used to go from Merced to Modesto all the time and kick it with homeboys from Four Corners, OGLs, Deep, you know, the West Side Boys, all that, you know. And it's unfortunate, man, you know, when I see an individual gunned down in his own city, you know, over a whole lot of nothing, over a whole lot of bullshit. But that's the life you live as a young Norteño striving. You know, tomorrow can be your last day. Today could be your last day. You know, I was always aware of that when I was gangbanging, when I was in that life. You know, every day I put those Cortezes on and I got strapped up. I knew that it was either my life or someone else's life, but it was a life. And a lot of us, when we're gangbanging, we take life for granted. You know, we don't care who we hurt or who cares about what we're doing. You know, and the tragic part of it is it affects our family the most. It affects our loved ones, our old ladies, our children, you know, and it's all propaganda to feed the beast, to feed yourself into thinking you're something that no one really cares about other than you. You might have a few homeboys that feel some type of way about you, and they might pull up to a vigil and a memorial when you're gone. But a week or two later, the beat goes on like a whisper song, and it's forgive and forget. You know, it's unfortunate that's the way it is, but you know, it's just a trip, man. When I see another Vato gunned down, especially in the area, you know, being from the 209 area, you know, it kind of hits different, the Central Valley. So I got a phone call from an active homeboy at Modesto, a dude I was in YA with, who I haven't talked to in a very long time. And he got my number through a primo of mine. And I was very upset that he even got my number because my primo's out there overstepping his boundaries, just giving my number out. But he did. And it was what it was. The homeboy called me this morning, was like, hey, bro, did you hear about what happened to the homie? And I said, I seen something about it on another channel. I wasn't really going to speak on it because, you know, I'm not in Modesto like that. I'm not in the best of standings as a Norteño, man. So I was kind of going to keep out of that mix. He was like, nah, bro, as a bottle for me, you know, hey, we've been doing time together for a very long time. We were in prison in the youth authority together. Carl Holton, right? He was like, can you do a fucking video on it and, you know, bring some awareness to the tragedy of what's happening? So I got him. And I'm not doing it for clout or entertainment purposes. I'm doing it to keep it real. So this Volta right here, here's the story what happened. M&S Market in Modesto, right? It's kind of on the outskirts. And I guess, allegedly, there had been a lot of spray painting going on in this store. Now, it's kind of like Merced. You know, a lot of spray painting happens at these local hood stores. And for the most part, man, we grew up around these Arab dudes that own these stores, or Mexicanos that own the stores, or Asian dudes that own the stores. And they get to know the homies in the barrio. A lot of the Arab guys that run these stores, they know Spanish. They know who's from the neighborhood, who's not. A lot of them would give us heads up like, hey, we seen your enemies over here, or Vatos try to slide through late night. They let us know, right? We built a good relationship, a rapport with them because we were always at the store. We considered it the local hood store. I know in Merced, the dead end store, you know, way back in the days before it was even called the dead end store, what had happened was there was a lot of spray painting happening. You know, a lot of the younger homeboys, you know, they would tag up the barrio or whatever in front of the store, put Huelga birds, Norteños, Rifamos, all that, right? And the enemies would come and cross it out, and it would look tacky. You know, it was basically, imagine if you own a local store, a small store, and someone's vandalizing your building, you're going to feel some type of way. So I remember when the Arab got at the homies, and he was like, hey, you know, what's it going to take for you guys not to spray paint this store? And we were like, oh, we're going to call this the dead end store. Then if you acknowledge it as the dead end store, it's all good. It got to the point where even the cops, the local authorities in the area call it the dead end store. Everyone does. And that's just how that went, man. The spray painting stopped, and a lot of the vandalism just left the area. But, you know, things have went down in that store. I've been involved in shenanigans and things that went down in that store. When it's a hood store, shit happens, you know, straight up. So this store where this incident happened is a hood store, right? A lot of Norteños, guys from other gangs frequent this store. And for whatever reason, this guy Milo was at this store and he got into it with the store clerk, one of the store clerks, and he was exiled from the store. He was told not to come back into the store for whatever reason. They had words, and literally the store clerk and manager actually went and put a restraining order on this guy so he couldn't be on the property. Okay, that ain't gonna stop a gang member. Restraining orders, arguments, all that ain't gonna stop someone from really pulling up. But for whatever reason, when this incident occurred, the Vato Milo and a few of his homeboys decided to pull up to this store, and an argument ensued. And this argument, man, escalated into a full-blown melee, a fight, right? And for whatever reason, when you own a store, you own property, you have the right to protect your property. There's no doubt about that. But there's going to be repercussions when you're dealing with gang members, active vatos that are really in the mix like that. You're not going to just be able to do that. I know in our stores, man, I remember a homeboy got into it with one of the Arab dudes. For whatever reason, they were mean mugging. The homeboy was pisteando. He was drunk. He started arguing, and it almost came to a situation where, the store clerk pulled out a piece, because he felt he was protecting himself and protecting his store, and he's within his rights to do that. And homeboys, we doubled back. I remember we doubled back, and we had to have a junta and talk about it. We couldn't just allow this guy to pull a cuete out on the homeboy, pull a gun out on the homie, and get away with that. And so there were some harsh repercussions for that. Quietly as it's kept, I'm not going to put that out there, but let's just say that dude, that he didn't work at that store too much longer. The manager and other people decided it wasn't in his best interest to be at that store because, if someone caught him outside of that store, it was a whole different story. So with the Milo situation, having this restraining order and pulling up, I could see where it escalated and the argument cracked off. Now, during this argument, a 28-year-old store clerk that was working there decided, for whatever reason, to pull a gun. And he took one shot, and Milo was hit, right? And when the cops were called and they came to the spot, man, they seen him suffering from a gunshot wound. He was taken to the hospital. He succumbed to his wound the next day, Sunday morning, right? This happened on Saturday at 10:30 in the evening at this store. Now, I could understand this guy was in good standings. He was well known. He was a righteous Norteno from Modesto. I can understand how some people are feeling because nobody was charged in this incident. And I'm sure there's an outpour and an outcry for this clerk to be charged because, imagine if it was the other way around. Imagine if this gang member, this vato, had shot the store clerk. He'd be locked up for attempted murder or murder. He'd already got the shackles on him. He'd already been snatched up quick, just like that on the scene, right? They went and got him. This was seen on camera. There's video footage. So the district attorney has decided in Modesto not to pick up the case. No one is being charged in this incident yet, right? The outpour from the people in Modesto that are saying this ain't fair, this ain't right. I'm sure the district attorney might have to revisit this case because at the end of the day, man, an argument is two-sided. Let's get down to the bottom, the brass tacks of the situation. From what I heard, from the homie that called me, that this vato right here, it wasn't just one-sided. He wasn't argumentative and going in there stealing and destroying property. He got into a righteous argument with this dude, which it went back and forth, and then was told to leave the premises. He was violating this restraining order, I guess. And then, of course, it kicked off and he got shot. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. From a gang member's perspective, I'm an ex-gang member. It ain't cool. And I can see the situation escalating. I know they did a candlelight vigil for him at the store, and that's what's going to happen, right? I heard there was no incidents that popped off. But then again, I could understand people from his neighborhood, his barrio, his family, feeling some type of way about this individual just being able to still work at the store, just being able to be around when he took the life of their loved one. When you take a life, you give a life. And usually people, will double back and figure out a way to catch you slipping. Now, I'm not saying this is the situation or this is what's going to happen or this is what's being talked about because I'm in no position to say that, right? And I would never say that, put anyone on the spot. But you think about it. Even though this young Norteño pulled up and whatever issues were put on the table and a fight happened and he gets killed, right? It doesn't matter in the gang underworld. It doesn't matter who did it. It matters that it was done, right? And so now you have a family that's grieving. You have homies from his Valder that are grieving. And I'm sure there's going to be people that feel some type of way and want to, they want to see justice. And if the authorities are not doing the justice, if they're not locking this man up, which they won't, and I'll tell you why they won't, then justice is going to be had in the streets. You're going to be had in homes. Muy calientes, muy caliente. So it's up right now, Modesto. People are tripping, man. This guy was well known. He was well respected in his neighborhood. And the West Side Boys, man, they've been around a long time. And they're very seasoned. I've done time in and out of prison with West Side Boys, man. Like I said, used to fuck with them on the streets back in the days when I was younger, when I first got out of Y. I knew some homeboys from out there. And they were always solid, right? And they hold it down in Modesto for their people. So I can't see this situation not turning into a bad situation, an even worse situation. But should that guy be locked up? For his own safety and security, probably not. Because if he went into the Stanislaus County Jail, the Modesto Jail, if he was put on any tier with Norteños, man, they're going to feel some type of way because he shed northern blood, right? That's just how it goes. Now, will he be charged? To be honest with you, I don't think so. And I'm going to tell you why. Working for that store, being on that property, they already had a restraining order on this vato. So him coming in, he automatically violated that restraining order. And these guys are allowed to protect their person and property. If this guy went in there, now, again, he pulled a gun. If Milo didn't have a gun on him, if no guns were pulled, you can't just shoot someone because they're assaulting them. Catch that fade. Handle your business. If they felt like these guys had weapons and they pulled out weapons first, then you could defend yourself. However you defend it. And he'll probably get the green light from the district attorney because, once they walk through that store, through them doors, it's all bets are off, man. They have the right to protect their property and the integrity of that store. But it's a tricky situation because if this vato didn't have weapons on him and didn't pose that type of threat, you can't just pull a gun out and shoot someone because you're scared of them. You can't pull a gun out and shoot someone because they're on your property and it's all behind vandalism. Like that ain't the way it works. But the cops in Modesto, man, they have a lot to figure out with this case before it escalates and it gets bad. In the 209 area in the Central Valley, man, we wiggle different out there. We come from a different mindset. I remember, people like to compare the Valley, the 209 area, Modesto, Merced, Madera. Well, Madera's 559, but it used to be 209, Stockton, all that to the Bay. And we were much different from the Bay Area. The Bay Area, they were very urban, man. Their voters, they put it down. They handled their business. The Michon, Oakland, Richmond, Vallejo, Sanjo, all that. Sanjo's a little bit more like the Valley, but they handled their business, right? In the East Bay, North Bay, all that, South Bay. But in the Valley, we were more like family oriented. Everybody was related from Vadus. I remember in my neighborhood, everybody was related somehow, some way. Primos, younger brothers, then a homeboy, his family, they married each other's sisters. And like there was every way you could think of our Vadu was interwoven somehow, some way, right? And that's how it is in Modesto. You got a lot of families that have been there for decades, man. And this is a situation with an active Norteño, man, that just ain't going to blow over very easy. Vatos get gunned down all the time, but when it's done by a civilian, then the civilians better be on high alert, especially these guys that work at these stores, because these youngsters, man, are out of hand nowadays. They're crazy, and they feel they got to get back fast. It's an unfortunate situation that this dude was killed, but he wasn't in the right. He should have left that shit alone and not went in that store and caused the chaos, right? Sometimes you have to bear accountability for your actions. Unfortunately, in this one, this guy pulling up to the store and getting involved and getting, into it with these guys, he didn't expect to be killed, but that's what happened, unfortunately. It's fucked all the way around, man. There's civilians that are just trying to run stores, just trying to do their thing. They're in impoverished neighborhoods, bad areas, man. No one ever looks at it from their point of view. Imagine that you gotta have balls, man, to work at these fucking hood stores knowing that these type of individuals come in and out, gang members, man, they're faded, they're drunk, they're trying to show off for a chick or whatever, right? And you got to keep your cool, because if you get out of hand with these guys, most of them in them areas are strapped up. You say something out of pocket that they take as disrespect, they can smoke you. So now when the roles are reversed, when, hey, it ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun, right now, when this shit happens, you're in a catch-22, because now you've killed a gang member. Now you've exposed yourself to everything that they got going on, and now they're feeling some type of way. So do I think this is going to end well? I don't think so. I don't think so. It's already started off on a bad foot. The fight, Milo getting killed, that's a situation, man, that's definitely going to affect a lot of people in that community. And it's unfortunate because now you got gang members that are feeling some type of way, and now they could target people in the community that weren't even involved. Regular people. See, there's a fight between good and evil, and they consider gang members bad and evil. I don't see it that way. I see a lot of people being utilized, youngsters that are confused, some people that don't got the proper clutch on, don't know the get down. But one thing I can say about Modesto and the West Side, man, they're laced up. They're seasoned. Paprika like a motherfucker. Every homeboy that I've met from West Side Modesto is with the business and knows what time it is. Their homies have laced them up through generations. Hopefully, these guys know enough to understand that the authorities are watching and waiting, and they stay out the way, man, and just realize, hey, their homeboy, he found himself in a bad situation. This is how it is. This is how it ended up. Now, as far as the guy that didn't get charged, I would advise him to get the fuck away. If he continues to work at the store, it's only a matter of time, man. There's no way as active Norteños they could allow, like I said, bloodshed of their own just to fucking let it go and have to look at this guy's face all the time. It's a fucking unfortunate situation, but it's a real situation. But, like the homeboy said, I asked him about the temperature out there in Modesto. He said, motherfuckers are tripping, bro. This was a good, solid homie, and, it shouldn't have went that way. But you got to be aware of how it is when you're gangbanging. When you're going into stores or you're going anywhere, flea markets, anywhere where there's civilians, man, civilians nowadays ain't playing no games. They're strapped up. They're ready. Especially when you're in a bad area where there's gang members. They're ready. And it's crazy because when they defend themselves or they handle their business, then it's like, hey, you killed the homie, you're all bad. But how would the roles reverse? How would it feel, man, if the homie would have killed the store clerk? Would have just been, oh, it's all good. That's what happened to the clerk. That's what happens. Nah, he would have been charged. It would have been all bad. It's just a fucked up situation. I don't agree or disagree with what's going on. But one thing I can say is it's kind of a trip that they didn't charge this guy for pulling out a gun during a fist fight. You have to look at it from every angle. Now, was the gang member in the wrong for going in there in the first place? Knowing there was a restraining order on him? Absolutely. He should have never put himself in that situation. And this is what happens when you put yourself in that situation. But should that guy get away with cold-blooded murder? Because that's what it is. Let's be point blank. And it's definitely affecting the area. So right now, man, it's hot in Modesto. Motherfuckers are tripping. The homeboy said, yeah, hey, no one's happy about it. We lost a good, solid homie over bullshit. But again, man, you have to look at the root of the problem. All this shit could have been avoided, man, if you just stop tagging, if you stop, thinking. This is what happens with gang members. I felt the same way when I was gangbanging. We felt like everything in the barrio was ours. That store was ours. That street was ours. Them cars, everything was ours, right? When literally we didn't own shit. We paid rent, PG&E, all that, man, that was theirs. We were just renting the barrio. We didn't own the barrio. You know what I mean? And once I got older, I understood that. I realized it. And it's unfortunate that others don't. That's not your barrio, homes. You're renting that shit. That belongs to the government. That belongs to the city, homie. You're just living there in that low-income housing on Section 8 with roaches. That's more the roaches your shit than it is yours. It's fucked up. Anyways, rest in peace, Milo. West Side Boys, man. I did this video for the homie. Like I said, whether it gets a lot of views or it doesn't, that's not the point here. The point is, what do you guys think? Do you think that this store clerk should be charged? Or do you think he was just protecting himself and his property and they should just let it go? Either way, man, justice is going to be dealt with. Whether it's in the streets or the court system. That's just the way it goes in the 209. Don't sleep on it, right? With that being said, thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive, struggle, and strive for what I honestly and truly believe in. And that's the betterment of all people. Gracias for your tiempo. I appreciate it. Rest in peace to the vato from Modesto.